Hmm? I am? Okay, well, that's interesting. Is anyone in the chat? Nick Turnbow is. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, cool. Okay, so Instagram. Can you check to see if I'm live on YouTube? Okay. This may end up just being an Instagram live. Oh, I see two on YouTube. Maybe it takes a second to do it. Cool. Hey, what's up, Margot? We're live on YouTube. Cool. Hey, what's up, Bunny? All right, guys, I'm streaming from YouTube and Instagram at the same time, I think. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. I got my buddy Daniel here as a partner over there. So yeah, just any questions you guys have or techniques, concepts, anything you want. Cool. The audio's on YouTube as well. All right, well, there's a lot of people joining in. No one asking questions. Tell us about the quarantine haircut. Well, there's no quarantine in Sweden, so I just go to the normal barber actually. Um, yeah, in Sweden right now they haven't really shut much down, so it's it's pretty normal. Here's why. All right, guys, let me know if you have any questions. Actually, the gym isn't open. It could be, but they voluntarily closed right now. But I think a lot of the gyms are going to start reopening in June here. Let's see here. So from Instagram, thanks, John. Underhook De La Riva, what do you do when they pull all their weight on the De La Riva leg and push down your knee? From Instagram, MediWeek is asking that question. Um, Honestly, I don't use underhook De La Riva a lot. I like it when I already have the cross sleeve, but just as like a base guard, I don't like to use it that much. I'll show you where I do like to use it, but I don't know if it's going to answer that question so much. But all right, so with underhook De La Riva, I generally prefer either like a pant control or a leg hug when I'm just starting from here. But the time I do like to use underhook de la Hiva is anytime I can off balance the guy forward overhead, right? So one common situation I'll use it is like if I'm playing collar sleeve here and like I'm checking for this omoplata really hard, he'll pull his elbow kind of tight. So I get this de la Hiva hook. And then I like to try to take the guy backwards a lot. But sometimes it's really hard to take him backwards because he's kind of got good balance. So then I'll switch to this kind of forward bump. A lot of times that'll bring the guy to the floor here. And then, of course, I could try to shoot for a triangle or an omoplata, but usually in this position with his elbow and knee kind of connected and forward like this, when I switch to the underhook de la Hiva here, let's change sides real quick. Yeah. Once I bump him forward here and I switch to this hook here, and now I go to the underhook. This is a very different underhook De La Riva. It's super strong. I can peel his heel outward here like this, and it's like really turn your knee back in. It's really hard to turn the knee back in. It's very easy to jump my shin over this knee line, and now I'll grab the hip. And the finish variation can vary a lot from here. A lot of times I could just pull and go straight for the back. Sometimes I'll switch into more of like a baby bolo or crab ride type finish situation. But yeah, just basically that idea of the forward bump. So if I was playing like collar sleeve or like underhook de la Hiva, and I feel like the guy flattens this knee and I'm kind of stuck here, honestly, I would stiff arm with this collar grip and I would probably pull back out and try to switch to the pants, maybe start playing here. But if I could bump him forward like this, then I switch to the underhook de la Hiva, start attacking there and going from there. So I don't really like to play it just straight on. So maybe that doesn't quite answer your question, but that's how I use the position. Let's see, do we have another question there? Ooh, Bunny Asworth, how would you deal with a Keymaster guard? Really good question. So let me take a sip of my coffee real quick. Okay, dealing with the Keymaster. So there's multiple ways dealing with these positions. More recently, what I've been trying to do is like first off understanding the Keymaster. Go ahead and put your foot on my hip and have collar sleeve. So if he's here and he's got his foot on my hip, right, he can only really keymaster if I bend my leg. Right? If I bend my leg, now this foot can kind of get that downward pull on my thigh, and that allows him to start going under and start doing matrices and things like that. So I actually generally keep my left leg pretty straight here so he can't keymaster. But he's going to have his foot on my hip, which is also kind of difficult because it's a lot more dangerous for triangles and omoplatas. So when Tommy Lanker plays the position a lot, he uses the foot on the hip, and he has a very dangerous triangle and omoplata. He threatens that a lot, and often guys will try to do like this to defend, and that starts making the keymaster become a much stronger thing, right? So the thing I focus on a lot is early on, I try to use my right hand here on the rib cage to deflect the knee shield. If I grab too low here, let me go this real quick. If I grab too low here, he can knee shield with this. That breaks my grip, and now he can start shooting triangles. So a lot of times I'll kind of block the ribs with my right arm to start knee shielding here. See, this kind of frames the knee shield out, right? So now he's got that cross collar grip. I use this. If he tries to shoot a triangle here, go ahead and let go of this so they can see. If his hips try to come up for the triangle here, my forearm can block it, right? So I can block him down. So as I'm here and he's trying to knee shield, he's trying to shoot a triangle or omoplata, I can kind of frame here. Now I'm going to work this left hand to get a hip grip. Okay, if I can get a hip grip, now I'm a little bit safer from the triangle because if he shoots the triangle up here, I have his hip pinned, right? So once I pin the hip here, again, the keymaster is hard to do because this leg is relatively straight. Now I'm going to focus on looping this. So if he's knee shielding, I'll grab the foot. If his foot's in the bicep here, like this, I'm just going to keep looping. A lot of times circling this way a little bit, it will make it easier to loop. Now I'm going to try to push this to floor. If I can get the pants, that's the best. I just want to get this out of the way, and now I'm going to start trying to pass to this side. As I try to pass to the side, usually the guy's going to lasso. So like I'll be here, right? So I just frame the knee shield out. I got the hand grip here. I go here. I start to go this way. He'll lasso. Now I'm going to come back and start trying to loop out of the lasso and break the grip. Once I break the grip, now I'm back into more open guard passing. I can come in for a knee cut. I could turn this into a Toriando, and a lot of stuff will open. Cool. All right, guys. Is the audio, everything sound good? Did you say the audio was good on YouTube? Yeah. Okay, cool. Awesome. What's up, Nick? The Crab Ride Master is in the chat room right now. I would actually pull you into the chat, Nick, but I'm doing like a thing from the computer where I stream to both YouTube and Instagram, so I don't really know how I could do that. Let's see, do we have any other questions down the line? Is it possible to do leg locks in the gi and not have the gi used against you? Yeah, I mean, I assume what you mean is when you're going for the leg lock, like they're grabbing your lapel. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, go down. Oh, move the chair out of the way. Boom. Okay. So I think what his question is about the leg lock is it possible to do an ankle lock in the gi and not have the opponent grab my lapel so that it's hard to get the finish? For sure it is. One thing I really focus on when I do the leg lock, right, is like actually I'm not super high on this lapel. Turn this way just a little bit, and let's scoot down that way a little bit. Yeah. So I actually don't go super high on this lapel, maybe just in the beginning, but when I apply the force, I actually try to get away as quick as possible with my upper body, and I lower my left hand low on the lapel. What this does, and there's a lot of different variations I can do with my legs. I can be, usually I'm on the inside like this with this foot over, but more recently I've actually been doing this one as well on the hip here, or double on the hip. But what happens is when I lower this grip on the lapel, I allow my upper body to get away. So as he starts trying to grab this, I'm so far away here, he can't get to it. And here I can create a lot of force, right? Again, the most important thing on the ankle lock, at least there's different variations, but the way I like to do it is I focus on this foot being along my rib cage, right? I even let the heel out a little bit. I just want to make sure it's really shallow. I don't want to be super deep. Like if I can see his foot there, he can turn his toes inward and it's really hard to finish. The more I choke back, the harder it is for him to rotate his foot, and now it's really easy to lock it in. So I'm looking to lock it along the rib cage, go deep with my elbow, grab the collar, and then as fast as possible I try to slide back so I get my upper body away. I turn my body to the left as I apply force there, and I get a ton of force, right? Oh, we're on the TV now. Cool. All right, guys. Boom. Who else we got in here? When you are playing from Kichun Choi, when you are playing Lasso Spider, how do you attack when the partner has tight elbow and squat position? From Lasso Spider. Okay. So let's go down real quick. This chair. Okay. So we're in Lasso Spider, right? And the guy has this super low squat position. So a couple things you can do. It depends on like how squatted the guy is, because it go up a little bit. Some guys are kind of like more squatted but still standing, and in that case I could still use De La Riva hooks and stuff. But let's suppose you mean like the guy's in like a mega squat, right? Like a Mikey squat, right? In this case, a lot of times I'll actually extend the right spider hook, and I can shift out like this a lot, and I'll start attacking here. Right? From here, if I extend out, I can start trying to clear out here and chase the omoplata triangle. If he gets the knee back in time, a lot of times I just try to catch my foot inside this gap. Once I get my foot inside this gap here, he can't really Mikey squat anymore because my leg is in the way, right? Then it's easy to start grabbing the heel, peeling this out, and now I've worked to the ankle and the sleeve. From here, it's very easy to start switching to like sit-up guard. I could start switching for bolos, and all sorts of things start opening. So I can either just try to go from here, shrimp out, go shin on shin, try to attack triangles and omoplatas and stuff like that. I could try a lot of wheel sweeps, try to just create a lot of movement with the triangle threats or the wheel sweeps until you can get him opening that gap a little bit. You see how he opened that gap there a little bit? If I could get my foot in that gap, even if my hook isn't in yet, if I could just get here, see, sit down, there's no way for him to Mikey squat through that. My leg is stuck. Now I catch the heel and open up, and I have a very good control here to start setting up attacks or whatever I want to do. Cool. Okay, what else? And cross grip pass. How do you deal when opponent swings his top free leg over and steps on the bicep you defend? So I assume by top grip pass, actually I'll go into that in a second. I want to take a YouTube question because I haven't done any YouTube questions yet. I know you're a skinny guy, but advice for attacking the back for people who have short legs, unable to lock body triangles. So I would say like my back finishes is not the strongest point in my game, so I feel like there's probably better people to ask that question. For me, if I get the back in tournament, I'm usually just like, I go for like very simple stuff. I just go for like the basic, collar choke with like the lapel. I like that over the bow and arrow a lot. It's very secure. And I'm just really slow and take my time because in tournament, they actually have to react. Sometimes in the gym, if the guy balls up like this, it's really hard to force the submission because he's being super defensive, right? But when you're in tournament, if he's down 4 and you get the grips, if he sits there, yeah, fine, just sit there, right? Because he's the one, the burden is on him to do something. So you're going to attack after that, right? But let's say that hypothetically, I need to make something happen. For me to really, in the gi, make something happen when someone doesn't want to allow it to happen, you need to create discomfort, right? So these positions are kind of based around like in a real fight, like you could punch the guy. If you get mount, you can punch him. So he starts reacting and giving you an armbar, right? Well, we're not allowed to punch. So that's why points are there. But let's say there's no points, you're in the gym, the guy doesn't care about points. Then in that sense, I try to make people uncomfortable. And in that sense, that's where I really, usually I go back to knee on belly. So if I get the back and I just can't finish and the guy's balling up, I usually switch to knee on belly or a knee cut, and I use a lot of knee pressure. As like a skinny guy, I feel like that just creates a lot of discomfort, right? So let's just say like I was on the back, okay? So again, this just depends on my goal, right? I could of course try to finish here, but like he's like super tight with his arms and I can't find my way in this, right? Again, if I was in tournament, this is fine. Like if he balls up like that, no problem. I just take my time, ease here, there's no problem. I'm winning, right? But now he's just balling up and I can't do anything. Okay. Then probably what I would do is I would just start letting him out to a side here and just start trying to come up on top to mount. If I can't get it, I'll come up and I start using knee on belly a lot in his ribs. I use knee on belly a ton, and I get my knee on like the floating rib cage, and I control this near sleeve and cross collar, and I just keep making this miserable. Usually this guy will give me an arm bar or the position I want from that, right? The other one I really like is I'll go back to half guard, and I'll start pulling this lapel out here, and I just cook guys here. I can float the knee in their stomach, make them uncomfortable, use this to set up a Bravo grip, start choking from here. But or you could use like side control or mount to create a strong crossface. But again, that's more based around the idea of trying to create discomfort, right? Okay, cool. Let's see. Thanks for doing streams. No problem. What's your strategy for reverse De La Riva? So a lot of times when I enter against the reverse De La Riva, I don't really allow it in the first place. But even if they get it, I find it to be relatively easy to get rid of. So a lot of times if I'm getting put into reverse De La Riva, it's because I'm kind of like entering into it, right? But if I'm here, one of the big things for reverse De La Riva is he needs to have his arm underneath the leg, right? So one thing I threaten a lot is Toriandos. So if I'm here and I threaten a Toriando, he has to frame my shoulder to defend this pressure. If he doesn't, if he keeps his arm cocooned under, I'm just going to shoulder impact really hard on his chest here, and that's going to make the position fall apart for him, right? So what I'll do often is I'll threaten here and he shoulder blocks. Now I'll slam my shin there. Now there's no reverse De La Riva because his arm is not underneath, right? From here, even if he knee shields, as long as I have this shin pinned on the floor, I can get a lot of chest pressure here. And sometimes I'll drop my elbow over and slide out and try to finish. A lot of times I just recenter the knee, cut in here. If he does get the reverse De La Riva hook, just don't panic too much. Like two ways to deal with this. One is I just control this top pant leg here, and I stiff arm it backwards. I stay up on my foot. If he's on my collar here, like this, and he tries to invert, start trying to invert, it's really hard to invert when I have this. I just pull it backwards. If I feel like he starts to get lift, I'll pull it up. I just want to prevent it from going this way. So I can push it to the floor, or if I just pull it back this way, like this, to start trying to invert. See, it's really hard to invert when I pull this back. Guys will usually get annoyed with this and they try to break this sleeve grip. As soon as they do that, I catch the club, pressure, and pass there, right? If, go ahead and go back, he stays on the collar, right, here, and he just refuses to do anything, so he keeps trying to invert, right? But he can't invert, but he's not going to let go of the collar. Then what I'll usually do is I pop my right leg straight like this to pop it out. Then I turn my knee really wide. Let's scoot that way a little bit. So let's see. Yeah, this should be okay. So I pop my leg straight, and then I turn my knee really wide like that. Okay, from here, I can go under that and start trying to dig to pressure through. If he tries to lasso or something, like try to keep the ankle if you can. Right, so we're here, I pop, I go here. I can always step back in with the other leg, clear this, and now I'm in a really good position to do a Toriando. So I'll just break the grip, come back to the center, and there's a couple different ways I could go. I could come up here and Toriando through that. Or if I want to Toriando towards the top side, once I go up here, he's like this, I'll stand up, I turn my hand this way, I grab on the inside like that, and I go around there, right? So basically, I go for the club pass if they try to go for my sleeve grip. If they don't, I try to pop my leg straight and knee cut through, or I just recenter back in and try to Toriando. Try to get the focus. There we go. Cool. Have a really hard time passing collar sleeve. This is a question from the collective on YouTube. He said, have a really hard time passing collar sleeve. Any tips and tricks, especially if they are aggressively breaking posture? Okay, cool. All right, guys, so we're going to look at passing collar sleeve. First thing to understand is something like collar sleeve, it's a very broad guard. It's not like one pass is going to solve it. It's a very big system. There's a lot of variables of what your opponent can do with his legs and the positioning he can be in and everything. So Uh, we're gonna go with. I have two models I like to do. One is like the Lapre model, like more of like a lapel control Lucas Lapre model, and then the other one is more of like a Leandro loop out model, right? So first thing I'm gonna look at when I'm in collar sleeve, we're assuming the near side collar sleeve. Okay, is go ahead and let go of this real quick. Is always keep your neck kind of up, right? You see, it's easy to be here, and I can put my head down, but then when he gets that collar grip, it's a lot stronger, and it really breaks my posture a lot, right? So what I want to do is kind of have my neck up, so I'm going to grab my lapel, but always keep your head up, right? So he grabs the collar, that's fine. Okay. So here, if he has the De La Riva hook, go ahead and have the hook, and he has the foot in the bicep, right? So here, first thing, a lot of times if I can, I'll use my elbow to try to pop this hook out, right? I don't want my leg too bent because it becomes really easy to off balance me. So I want it somewhere in between straight but slightly bent, right? Let's get this way a little bit. Okay. So I'm here like this. I'll try if I can with my elbow to pop this off. Now I'm going to try to loop this. If I can loop this, right, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to grab on the inside of the shin here because it makes it hard for him to get the foot back in the bicep. If I just grab on top, he's going to put the foot back in the bicep. I'll loop people. Yeah, so it's hard. But once I get inside the shin and I put it back in, it's really hard. If he doesn't respond here, I'll just push this to the floor and knee cut through. What's almost for sure going to happen here is as soon as I kill this, he's going to lasso. When he lassos, I'm going to push the shin outward and try to get the leg to the floor. Now I can go a little higher on the lapel. I use my elbow and my shoulder to pop this up, and I can start to knee cut through. Okay? The other option here that can happen, I need to figure out the headset. Okay, is I go here like this. I guess I go like this. Now he's going to bring his knee back really tight to his chest and like knee shield or something, right? If he starts to knee shield, it can be kind of hard. So what I like to do here is to try to get my left arm inside and use my left forearm to kind of frame his knee shield. So start knee shielding here. Now it's really hard for him. Now I'll start choking my hand higher on the lapel. I use my right knee behind the crook of his lasso here until I can open this up. I have a couple options here. If I can get through this, I can club this way. If that's hard or he's stiff arming my neck hard with that hand, like this, I'll switch my left knee in, go here, and start knee cutting to the other side. But actually, I did a YouTube video on this where I gave like a basic pass system, but there's multiple systems for dealing with these positions. But it's important, like when I show how to pass them like colors, if you really need like all the positions at once. If I show just one technique, you'll go try it, and then as soon as you try it, your partner will do the one counter to it, and then the technique I show won't work. So you kind of need all of the techniques in conjunction to understand it works as a whole. That's why, like on my YouTube channel, I like to really do system overviews rather than singular techniques, because I know if I just give you a singular technique, it's going to be really hard to implement it all. J Threat says, "Hi, Danny." Who's J Threat?
What's up, Jared? It's my friend from Buffalo.
Oh, okay. What's up, Jared? Do I know Jared?
You might know
All right, let's see what other questions we got here. Any tips on dealing with the deep De La Riva hook? From John Galonka on YouTube. Yeah, so we have another De La Riva X question. I'll answer the deep De La Riva hook. On De La Riva X, if someone really gets a good deep De La Riva X on me, I feel pretty like I'm probably going to get swept. I mean, maybe I can kind of intuition my way out of it, but I'm not great at coffee is okay. It's instant coffee. I didn't have time to run down to the cafe, so so De La Riva X, I don't have a solid answer for you if they get a really deep De La Riva X. But I'll give you a good option if they go for like the cross sleeve De La Riva with the deep hook. Man, this chair is killing me. Okay. So if they're going cross sleeve deep hook here, let's turn this way a little bit here like this. Boom. So if I'm in De La Riva and he's got this cross sleeve, I try to get this low lapel grip. I get kind of like the other one. I'm going to grab the ankle on the inside. I put all my weight on my hand here on his like torso, and I'm just going to start backstepping here. And in fact, if he tries the deep lace here, it's really not going to do him that much good because the fact that I have this other leg killed, I can stiff arm here and I start to drop out this way. Right, and then now I can start trying to continue the pass here. He may frame and start coming back, and then now we're back more into this open guard passing type situation, and it kind of becomes something different. If I'm here and he goes for the cross sleeve, sometimes if I can really quick, I just try to break it. But if he gets it, right, and then I can't grab the leg or anything, I get this low lapel, I go here, and I don't care so much if he puts the hook in, right? I just start backstepping, right? The big key with this position for him is to keep this foot elevated and active like this so it's hard. If I can completely control this, he really needs to bail out of the position. Uh, let's see here. Okay, what would you change to improve competition? Example, stalling rules, heel hooks. I mean, I think generally I like the IBJJF rules. I think adding heel hooks would be okay. Like, I mean, I'm not a big heel hook guy myself. I find them super interesting. But as it's not really allowed in gi jiu-jitsu, it's just not worth my effort to go super deep on it right now. But I mean, I think we all train, we know what we're doing. If you're like a black belt and like you're a world level competitor, and we all understand the risks we're taking. I think they should allow heel hooks. I mean, it would certainly evolve the game a lot. So I think that would actually be fair. I know that maybe counter what a lot of people think about with modern gi jiu-jitsu, but it is kind of weird to think that a lot of us are competing and don't have a super deep knowledge on that, and it's kind of a hole, right? So it would be good to see both of those. Another issue with modern jiu-jitsu competition, as much as I love playing guard, I think the idea that people can kind of be really one-dimensional, like they only have a guard, so they pull guard, lock the guy up in like, a lapel guard or 50-50 or some complex guard, and even though they could sweep, they kind of hold on to the guy, and then they try to like, get an advantage or sweep at the last second and just hang on and like that kind of stuff. Like I feel like they need to make it easier to score points on top. So maybe like a -1 for pulling guard. Or in judo, they have like the koka, which is like a 1/8 of a point, a yuko, which is 1/4 of a point, and a wazari, which is like a half point. I think I got that right. Um, and so I think, but like no matter how many like 1/8 points you get, it doesn't like add up to like a half point or a total point. So I think maybe like an extra advantage, like you get points, an advantage, and then like a stronger advantage. But like if you pull guard, like you shouldn't be able to just uh, it kind of gets around the fact you didn't know how to do takedowns, so you don't know how to pass. So I think like if you pull guard, you should have to sweep to win. You shouldn't be able to pull guard or double pull, the other guy goes on top, and then like you almost sweep and then stall the rest of the match and win. You should have to sweep to win or something like that. But I don't know. I mean, it's complicated. No matter how you make the rules, people are going to find a way to exploit it. Okay, when you are playing De La Riva, what is your counter to someone stuffing the leg and moving to side smash? And what is your move within your hips are completely smashed? Okay, this is from Kichun Choi. Um, so the question is like when you're in De La Riva guard and the guy's trapping your leg, what do you do to prevent the guy from trapping your leg? And then what do you do to prevent the side smash? Um, it's not a there's not like a simple answer to that. Okay, okay, so we're here, right? So, delete here, sorry. Let's do it on this side. So the big thing with not getting your leg trapped is a lot of preemptive stuff, right? So a lot of it is with this right leg is like I always pay attention to the sleeve first. I'm not lazy with this. A lot of people, they start in De La Riva, they grab this leg with the left hand, right? And they go here, as I'm doing this, he's already starting to trap this, so then you're a step behind, right? So for me, I keep this knee tight, my left elbow is tight to the floor, and I have my hand ready. So if he starts messing with this, I'm always looking to break this really quick, or break here and then go out here. So now he can't trap it. So proper aggression on this sleeve, or he starts grabbing the pants, I go in the bicep, break here. All this stuff is going to make it way harder for him to trap in the first place. Then if he hides the sleeve a lot, I might start grabbing the collar and doing stuff like this. Now I'm up on my elbow with my left elbow here, and I can start pulling and threatening bolos and, kick the leg out. I could go to sit-up guard, all this stuff. If he starts trying to trap the leg here and step over too quick, then I can bump and start trying to go underneath and do that stuff, or at minimum get my leg free again and start going for the sleeve, right? So a lot of it is in preemption. If the guy does trap my leg, it depends on what this other hand's doing. If it's on my lapel, then usually I'll lasso this foot. I keep the pant leg with the left hand. I push, get this back out, break, go to the bicep, whatever. If he's on my pant leg here and he traps this, if I can, right when he traps, I try to bump and then I can ankle pick there like that or something. But if he's really sharp and he traps it and I can't do that and everything, then I'm going to try to go to the collar, come up and push with my fist and try to get on my left elbow and scoot out of the position and get out. If the guy's really good there, it's very dangerous to stay there. Right, so I try to get out of it quick, right? But I think the easiest answer is to be way stronger on the initial preemption than the actual way stronger on the initial prevention rather than what to do once he gets there. As far as if he gets into a deep folding pass, I would say kind of try to stiff arm and get up beforehand. I'll try to do a video on it going more in depth if the guy's deep on a folding pass, for sure. Okay, what's your thought process when they start entangling you with the lapel? Are you on top or bottom? Vitor Natter from Instagram. No problem, Kichon Choi. I think it's like a 20-second delay time. You on top. Okay, so like each lapel guard is different, right? So often in jiu-jitsu, anyone who follows me has probably heard me talk about this like a million times, is like everything is case specific. People often want kind of like, what's the answer for lapels, right? And it's like it's like saying what's the answer to open guard, right? It depends on the grip. If someone's playing collar sleeve, that is completely different than collar ankle or cross sleeve ankle or far sleeve ankle. Each one of those is a massively different position with different answers, right? So for lapel guards, the primary ones, like the attacking ones, are like worm guard, ringworm guard, reverse De La worm, Polish worm rider, squid. Those are kind of the main like ones that if someone gets there, they're going to attack you with it. But then before that, there's like the entanglements. So just to give you something to look at here, right? So there's two ways to address this. The one way I could answer this, which is probably that I can actually answer in this stream quick enough, is more preventative. How do you deal with it preventatively? But how to deal with each guard is completely different, right? Like if I'm here, he could go to like go in lapel lasso first. So he like lapel lassos. Now I can like how do I deal with the lapel lasso, right? But then there's like okay now he goes to ringworm, right? So how I'm going to deal with ringworm is completely different than if he goes to worm, right? Now he's in worm, but now go to reverse De La worm, right? Now he's in reverse De La worm, right? Or Polish worm rider. Do you know that one? Yeah, nailed it. I think you like go under. You got to go in front. Yeah, there you go. You got it. Right. So each one of these is going to require a different solution, right? So and each of those solutions are like 4 or 5 steps, each with different variations, right? So it's really complicated and deep. So the loose answer is like, okay, how do I deal with the guy going for my grips in the first place? So if I'm here and he's on his back and I'm really proactive with my upper body first, it's harder. If I come in here and I'm doing this, he might have time to deal with this, right? But if I'm here and I come in really quick like this, he has to deal with my upper body fast, right? Then I can try to back out and create like Toriandos and things like that. Usually he's going to start with like a lapel lasso. So if he lapel lassos, right? As soon as he gets a lapel lasso, the two ways to deal with it are either I just I'm going to give him worm, but I'm going to jump the gun on trapping this. So as he's switching to ringworm, I'm already trapping this, and now I'm going to start working my passes from ringworm, which I like to do an underhook variation to break the grip, where I go here. It's not really a knee cut, it's more of a control to break the grip. If he goes to worm, then it's kind of this like modified club where I grab here, I go like this, and I sprawl back to break. And if it's reverse De La worm, kind of similar to reverse De La Riva, which is where I pull this leg back. If he tries to mess with the sleeve, I club. If he stays on the collar, then I kind of start working this foot out like that and then try to back out, okay? But that's based off of preemptively trapping when he tries to do the lapel lasso. If he does the lapel lasso, the other alternative is if you can pass the right side, if you're good at that, you can start to go this way and long step over here and try to force like a half pass style on that side, right? Um, Another thing you can do is early on, if he's on his back, I can jam the legs a lot like this, which makes it harder for his foot to get to the lapel, and then I can focus on like one arm throws and things like that. Um, but again, there's no quick, easy answer for this is how you shut down lapel guards. It's a big thing, right? Everything is just that's the biggest advice I can give anyone. It's just treat it like university, right? It's like there's different classes. It's like it's not like how do you be good at like English is the same as being good at math. They're all different classes and they require different things. So you just have to spend a lot of time in each position taking your time to understand it. You can't rush jiu-jitsu. Just focus on understanding positions, focus on understanding how things work, and then over time naturally you'll start to see how the whole thing comes together. People think that there's like one kind of like what people are looking for is like one principle or one thing that's just going to make it all make sense because it's like otherwise it's just so confusing otherwise, but that doesn't really exist. It's just there's so many variables to consider. The position that makes you the most imbalanced may get your foot broken. The way to defend your foot from getting broken may expose your back, right? The way that blocks both of those may allow the guy to entangle you in like a lapel wrap. So each position has so many variables to consider. So it takes extensive time studying in each position. A lot of people that's frustrating. It's like, man, but that's so complicated. But that's what makes it fun because you can do it for 20 years and just scratch the surface of jiu-jitsu, right? If it was easy to solve with like one basic principle, everyone would do it. So if you just change your mind from going like, what's the general way? I'm not saying that you were suggesting this, but I know it's a common thought. If you change your mind from going, what's the way I'm supposed to position myself so that they can't do guard? It doesn't work that way. You have to isolate it into separate things. Here's how you deal with this. Here's how you deal with that. That being said, the closest thing you can get to like a way to not have to deal with all the guards is to get really good at passing before grips, right? Now, I think you need to be good at both because ultimately, what I mean by that is like, okay, so like we're here. Go for it. Yeah. Okay. Actually, let me bring this up just a little bit. Okay. Okay. So what I mean by that is like I'm either going to step into his guard, he's going to grab some guard, say De La Riva, and then now I have to know how to kill De La Riva. But I could have stepped in, he could have grabbed reverse De La Riva. Now I got to know how to kill reverse De La Riva. So each of these are complicated, and it's really important to learn how to deal with each one of these, right? So that takes a lot of time. Spend time in each one, learn how to deconstruct each system. But the other thing is, I could be here and he doesn't have grips yet, and I'm trying to figure out how do I pass him before he establishes a guard. Putting a lot of effort in that is really good, but most people just kind of see it as the guy's on his back. But there's so many variables to consider here, right? Like when I'm entering here like this, like he could be centered, he could have his legs low, like aimed at my chest. He could be like self-stacking, so it's harder to Toriando. He could be on his side, like knee shielded. His arm could be under his leg. His arm could be outside of his leg. His foot could be aimed at my bicep. He could have wide legs here. He could be shifted to the other side. I could be right leg leading. Like me right leg leading with him like this is different than me right leg leading and him like this, right? His legs could be extended out. They could be in. Like if his legs are extended more outward, it's easier to yank them out and shoulder impact for Toriando. But if his knees are really tight, his hip flexors are tight, and it's really easy to spin him, right? So it's very like that position is probably the most complicated in jiu-jitsu. I just call that like no grips passing, right? But there's so many variables. But if you spend a lot of time at it, you're going to understand all those variables, like I was just describing, right? But as you start to understand them all, it's like, okay, I'm here. He's kind of shielded like this, like there. I know I could go for a one-arm throw. Let's say he grabs my sleeve. I know if I do a one-arm throw to this side and try to shoulder impact hard, he can't frame it because I'm going to hit here hard, right? So he's going to have to frame on my shoulder, right? If I do it hard enough, quick enough, I'm going to break through that and go through. But at minimum, he's going to frame and he's going to have to let go of the sleeve. Now my arm is free. I can come back, maybe do a two-arm Toriando this way, right? But I know all those patterns because I just spent hours and hours and hours specific training in these positions, if that makes sense, right? So you got to like really go deep on whatever it is you want to develop on. You have to go really deep on whatever it is you want to develop on to really understand it. And another point, like, when you guys ask questions, you see how like deep I go. That's because when I train, like I'm not like I just spend hours and hours and hours sparring in these positions, doing specific sparring, trying to understand them. That's why when you guys ask me like questions off the cuff, I can just answer it like that. I don't have to think about it. It's just in my like I understand it. Thanks, Josh Gates. Appreciate it, buddy. Any idea how to defend Khabib style pass, where he grabs and hugs both legs? Yeah, usually I just focus on pushing on the head and shoulders. But I mean, I haven't fought Khabib, so I don't know. I haven't really watched a lot of him either, so I don't watch a lot of UFC right now, so hard for me to say. But yeah, usually when someone's like bear hugging my legs, I just focus on framing the head and shoulder, wiggling back, and getting your knees to your chest. RJ. Let's see. Let's see here. All right, do you guys hear me? I can't tell if my headphones are on or not. Huh? Yeah, I think it's on. But yeah, check. How much coffee do you drink a day? Are you jacked right now? All right, I think it's good, right? Okay, cool. Honestly, I usually just do a double espresso in the morning, and then after that, I try not to do it anymore. But since I just started the live stream, I decided to drink a bunch of coffee. So yeah, I'm pretty jacked right now. Your go-to Berimbolo defense. Well, with Berimbolo, there's like kind of different phases of it. So the best thing is preemptively stopping it early, right? Um, so let's get into that. Actually, let me turn this way. Okay. Okay. So most important thing with defending the Berimbolo is just like not getting knocked over in the first place, right? So I'm always killing this De La Riva leg. I like to, if the hook is in, a lot of times I'll push the hook out first, but then I switch up higher on the knee and I try to disconnect their knee from my knee. That makes me pretty safe, and then I focus on controlling this. That's going to stop a lot. If I do get knocked over somehow, right? So I grab my collar and they start to knock me over like this. The main thing I want to do is I want to prevent this knee from being able to invert, very much like the reverse De La Riva. Like I want to prevent it from inverting, and I don't want to allow it to get over my knee line, right? So jump the shin over the knee line. If he gets this leg over the knee line here, it's going to be really hard to stop now, right? So if I just landed here, I'm like, oh man, this guy's about to bolo me. I'm focused on this knee line, so start getting over the knee line. You see, like here, like this is making that hard, right? I would frame this, keep trying to get over the knee line. I would keep trying to block this and start going here, keep inverting. See, and I start trying to pull this down. When I get my balance for a second, I'm going to try to push this hook out and come back up, right? Worst case, if he keeps knocking me down like this and pull it, keep inverting all the way here, I'm going to keep, like, try to get over the knee line. Yeah, there. I'm going to keep trying to push this down like this so it stays below my knee, right? Turn here. Yeah, you should grab my hip. Yep. There you go. Right. Like this, exactly. So he's trying to get over this. I want to press this leg back. I don't want to allow this jump over the knee line now. Yeah, I don't want to allow that. Once he gets over the knee line here, it's going to become really hard. There's so many things he can do. He can come back on top and try to mount and re-roll for a bolo. But as long as I keep this leg back here like this, so start inverting and stuff, here, like you got to try to jump over the knee line. Right? He starts trying to get here. I just keep framing this back here. Here I can thread this leg, push. Of course, he can try to switch into crab rides and stuff and everything, but I can keep kind of threading my feet and working. I just got to protect that knee line. That's the main thing. When he was doing it, do it again. Oh, wait, wait, wait. I'm trying to get the, there we go, it's good now. Okay, yeah, so if he goes out really wide like that, it's just really easy to block here, right? Because, go ahead and keep trying to invert, yeah. Yeah, when he's way out here like this, my knee line is protected. My left foot, I would be threading under, trying to push on the chest, work here. Again, he may start trying to work into like a crab ride on this in some manner, right? But I'm just going to keep trying to push, block that leg, work my legs back. If I give up a sweep, worst case, then that's fine. I just keep doing that. Of course, I want to stay on top from the get-go, but that's the big thing. Block the knee line, deal with that. If I can get back up on top, get back up on top. Margot, sometimes it's like double monster and coffee for me a day. I think that's Danny. How many monsters today?
Just one monster.
Well, I don't know what the Korean symbols are, but thanks. I'm assuming it's something good. Most engaged. Plato and shit. Is there a good way to remove deep De La Riva hook? Actually, watch the Yang Yi. I actually covered that a little bit earlier. So if you watch the repeat of the stream, you should be able to see that. Hello. Hey, what's up, Alex? Let's see if we have any questions down a little earlier. How you break the lockdown by Max Prinz. Well, you can do the Indian Deathlock actually. Uh, I mean, the way I'm passing guard, usually the lockdown never occurs to me anyway, because I don't have my right knee on the floor. So like I always have my knee up like this going for knee cuts. So it's really hard for them to kind of like, man, the focus is all off. Yeah, it's really hard for them to try to get the lockdown in the first place. Usually the lockdown is happening because your right knee got put on the floor. Do you know how to do the lockdown? Yeah. It gets put, you get stuck in it here, right? Because your right knee's on the floor. If you're actually up cutting all the time with your knee more driving in, it's very hard for them to do the lockdown, right? But let's say they get the lockdown. Okay, so he gets the lockdown. Actually, the technique I really like to do, this is really silly, but it works really good, and you'll submit people with it. It's an old pro wrestling move called the Indian Deathlock. So whenever they get this foot locked in here, I just catch their hip and I step my foot in really quick. And once I back up here, he can't get the foot back up anymore. And if you do this, yeah, it'll tap the guy, and he can't get out either, right? Like when I'm up here, start trying to get your foot out there. Yeah, it's super stuck, right? So it's a pro wrestling move. It actually works though. Yeah, they won't expect it either, right? So yeah, you're just in here, right? You got the knee on the floor. He's got the lockdown in. He starts extending it. As soon as you feel him starting to extend it, block the hip, at least with your right hand like this, and get your leg back up as quick as possible. Once you get up here, it's hard. Keep re-extending. It's really hard for him to stop it, right? Then I just start backing up. Here, stand up. And then once you go here, you're going to get that. You can push the knees down for extra bang for your buck. Oh, was it Triple H that used to do that? That's funny because the way we're doing our Toriando now is like the rock bottom, so pro wrestling's making a comeback. Dude, pro wrestling is real. Thank you. How to finish the knee cut from Alex when the foot is trapped. Um, I guess it can depend a little bit on like what grips they have, but let's just suppose that I'm in on a deep knee cut and the foot is trapped. Maybe turn this way a little bit. Yeah. So I'm here, right? And he's still got that foot in there. Once I come out here, I focus a lot on going like on using this top foot here to open their knee like upward like that, and I go really sideways like this to go out. Usually there I can always get it out if I've gotten this far. If he's got a single leg grip with a lapel, this is a different thing. It feels like your foot's trapped, but really it's the lapel grip that's making it hard. In that case, there's a couple different finishes. I'll use the sleeve, the hand on the shoulder. I center him up with my knee. I go deep on this cross collar. I get a loose grip first. I get pressure on the face. Then I cut and drop all my body weight on the face. That'll make him let go and turn his neck. Another really good one there, if he has that lapel grip there. I'll center up a little bit. I get a cross face grip down here. I grab the hamstring or the back of the hip, pull up, and pressure through there. Also really good. In a crab ride, what would you do to lift your opponent's hips so you can get to his back? Oh man, this is gonna this is gonna be hard with the headset. Definitely check out like Nick Sal's and Daniel Myra. They're really good on the crab ride stuff. But I'll just show you some of the stuff that I picked up when I was with them. I might sit, I hope you guys can hear it. I'm going to sit the mic down on the floor next to me because I know the headset's going to fall off when I try to do a crab ride. We'll see what I can do. So when you're going for the crab right here, I think one of the biggest things I picked up on is because you want to lift their hip, right? It's really hard to just force their hip up here. So the first thing is I want to lock my chest tight to their hip, and I kind of I make my feet strong like that, and I open their hip, and I'm using my knee to try to open his hip down like this. I stay tight, and I want to come up on this leg drag. If he lets me in here, I'm going to come up and actually go for the back or the leg drag. You have to threaten that first, right? If you don't threaten that, you're not going to be able to actually get the position, right? So once I go here, I'm really tight, his hips are on the floor, and I go here, now open your knee really hard. He's blocking that leg drag, so I can't open here like this, right? Here I'm going to reach across, grab the lapel like this, I stay tight, and him opening there, now I'm going to invert, but with my head through his back. When I invert, that's what's going to flip him here like this. So now I've actually lifted him up, right? From here I can stack, I can start going with a twister hook, I can go up here and go for the flipolo, and start working for all these things, right? Sorry, hope you guys could hear that. So, man, is that the same Korean person? Uh, uh, yeah, so basically, the big thing there is that you have to really threaten that initial leg drag hard by opening your knee up to try to come up into that leg drag. If you go for that initial leg drag hard, then they'll actually start resisting enough, which then will allow you to do that invert, which will start flipping and stacking them. But when you do that invert, you got to make sure that you invert through them. Don't invert around them. You have to like roll through them so they're loaded up onto your chest. Man, I need to translate all that later if it's possible. It's just like die, die, die. All right, guys, any more questions? What did I do? Arash, I'll show you that in person next time. Nice gi. Thanks a lot. It's Vital Gi. It's a Korean brand. It's really good. Their cut's really good. I have kind of a specific cut I really like when I compete, which is like triple seamed, which they make a really good triple seam cut. So it's a gi sponsor. They're super dedicated to like I had like a particular specification I really wanted in the gi, and they met it. So I'm really happy with them. John, what are effective ways to people force half guard on you? Um, John Thomas, I'm Korea. You're skill good. Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate it. Hope to visit one day. I was going to try to visit before the pandemic, but then the whole world shut down. So hopefully next time. Let's see. Can you show the pass where you kind of flop your hip over the De La Riva hook after you've pressured his lasso with your elbow? You did it to me, but I can't remember the details. It's hard to explain. I think I know what you're talking about, Jesper. Hope everything's going good up in. Well, it's not. Are you guys in Westeros? That's Westeros, yeah. Yeah, it's Westeros. Um. Okay, so we're here. Okay, so he's talking about this one. I think collar sleeve here, and you got the lasso, right? So I'm here like this, and I've pressured here, and I'm starting to work like this. Now, sometimes when you get this pressure, the guy will try to switch back to a De La Riva hook, right? Exactly, right? And you put the hook in, right? Boom, go back. So I know this is coming. So when he actually tries to go for that, start to go for it here, I'm just going to clear this and jump here. You have to know the position because it's very much a timing thing. You have to know when they're doing it. Scoot this way a little bit, sorry. And you have to know when they're doing it so you can actually jump for it, right? So one more time, I'm here, I got the collar sleeve, the foot's maybe in the bicep or something, right? I go here like this, I start to pressure in. As he goes, he starts to try to put the hook in. I support my weight and I flop out over there. and land like this. Okay, sometimes you land out wide and then like you don't immediately have the pass and he starts to kind of come back into me. That's fine. I can start stepping here, turning into a folding pass, coming back around. A lot of other stuff can open. Did you see it on the second one, Jesper? I moved back to the center. Well, I'm pretty popular in Korea right now. Jesper, did you get to see the second variation? Or the second time I showed it? No, Jesper, you don't need to trap the leg. It's more like you just control the ankle and press it outside. Uh, control the ankle and press it outside. Yeah, usually when I'm passing collar sleeve, I don't actually trap the leg in between my legs, right? Maybe if I've already looped my hand out of the lasso, but when I'm doing it, usually I'm just controlling the ankle and pushing it outside or trying to pin it to the floor. Because when you go in between, they can get the reverse De La Riva hook sometimes with a lasso. That can be very threatening, or they can like bump you overhead. Maybe 5 Korean. Man, I'm looking forward to my Korea trip at some point. Where do you guys train in Korea? All right, guys, we'll do one more technique question, and then I'm going to call it an evening and take it easy here in Sweden. Escaping darces. Oh man, if someone puts me in like a deep darce, dude, I'm tapping. Like, uh, that's certainly not my specialty. I think getting put in a darce though, you're in a pretty bad spot in the first place. So I guess it depends on the game you're playing. Like if you're doing like a single leg half guard type game, like kind of like this where you like Lucas Lech and stuff, like I could see getting caught in it a lot and you'd have to develop it. But the way I play, I just haven't really been put in it a lot. So just to be honest, I don't feel like I would be very good at escaping the darce or giving you anything useful about escaping a darce. Best knee cut grips from Alex. Um, BJJ Brick. No, I don't have any good useful arm and guillotine details. I don't really work that either much. Um, so uh, what was the one app before that? Was best knee cut grips. Man, so there really isn't a best knee cut grip. It just depends on the situation. Like there's like the knee cut like loosely defined is I agree. I think getting out of a darce is really hard. Um, loosely defined, it's like you're using your lower body to pin them to one side and your upper body to rotate them the other way. After that, there's just so many different grip variations, and you can't say one grip is better, right? Because, like, for example, right, like if I'm in De La Hiva, right, and I'm here, and he's got my collar, a lot of times here I do this like Leandro cut here, and I like post my hand out wide or grab here, and I'm doing it this way, right? I do that because I'm in De La Hiva. But like if we're in open guard here, like sometimes I almost force a knee shield, grab this, and I threaten to shin slide. He'll open his knee, and I come in here with the lapel and grab this. Sometimes if he's got a single leg grip with the lapel, I'll use this cross collar face crank here to start finishing the pass here. You can't say that any of those are better grips than the other because they all serve their own place, right? I couldn't use the cross collar face crank one starting from no grips because it's not available. But from single leg, it works good. But from the single leg, I can't use the lapel and sleeve finish variation because it's going to get me bumped. It doesn't work there. So you can't say that this is the best way to grip for a knee cut. It's more like how do you deal with a position and then deal with it. There's no like simple this is how it works, right? So you kind of just have to think do what your job is to learn have a good answer for all the most common positions in jiu-jitsu. The knee cut sometimes will be an option, and a lot of times it will look different depending on the grips they have on you. The face crank one. What is my posture? Super high, strong posture. I want my upper neck to be really postured up, strong, and I do it when they have the single leg grip. That's the most common time. There's a few other variations, but usually it's not a face crank. It's something else, right? So the most common